Hi, I'm McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we're going to talk about LDRs, and my friend used to hook up with my girlfriend. That's not exactly the case, but that's what came in. And if you have any questions or you want to send your story into writemac.com, the link's down below. Just to get into it, I've talked about it a lot of times before, but LDRs, there is some basics that I always come back to, and I'll go through those in a moment. But my main thing here is, if you've never been in an LDR, it's going to be different. So LDR being long distance relationship, right? If you've never been in one, it's going to be different. So a lot of times people go, oh, it's going to work. Oh, it'll be fine. These are the things that you should know, because a lot of times you go into something like that and you're like, oh, love will prevail. Oh, we care about each other so much. And then you get into the long distance and you're like, this isn't cool, because it's different. And so a lot of times people that end up with problems in long distance relationships, a lot of it is assumed that the relationship's going to be the same, in the sense that, oh, you know, we love each other so much, we'll make this work. It's just like the fucking movies, but it's not. Okay. So your LDRs, over and over again, I'm going to say the same thing. Have finish lines. So finish lines means we're going to meet once a month. We're going to meet once every 2 months, or in 6 months, I'm moving to your city, you're moving to my city. This is so important because it's something to look forward to, but it also is the promised land. What's the whole point of having long distance if you're never going to be in the same community, in the same city? So that's number one. Is that even possible? Sometimes people go, oh, I'm going to be in school for 3 years. I'm going to medical school. And then it also counts, are you on different continents, different states? But that's the number one thing. Do you have some finish lines where you're going to end up living in the same place eventually? And are you going to keep your word to that? Because this is what will evaporate a long distance relationship, is the fact that, are you keeping your word? Because people are looking forward to you coming to their city, living with them. And if the other person puts something else first, then the other person feels like they've been put to the back of the bus, and it actually really hurts the relationship. But one thing I've noticed is people in long distance relationships think, well, it won't be so bad. We'll just wait another 6 months or another year. But what you don't realize, if that person's really yearning for you, you've already kind of lost them when you didn't keep their word, because now they don't believe you next time you say that you're going to be there. Number two, trust. Okay. So this sounds like, oh, everyone would know trust. Everyone doesn't know trust. So if you don't have trust, or you have some insecurities about being in a relationship, period, you're a bit clingy, needy, you jump to conclusions, then long distance relationships are going to be really tough for you. So first and foremost, do you trust the person that you're seeing? Do you trust not just that they're going to hook up with someone else, but when they say they went out last night and had drinks, do you trust that they're going to be a good boyfriend or girlfriend? Okay, so next part of that, have good mini vacations. So when you do visit, when you do meet up for a weekend or 3 days or for something special, it's absolutely rose petals and wine glasses. It's a beautiful thing. You have a good time. You have good intimacy. You don't fight a lot. You're happy to see each other. Those should be if you're having mini vacations, or when you see each other for a week and you're fighting, what happens is you only have so much time together. So that's going to resonate when you're apart. So make sure you have good vacations where you plan to spend a lot of time together. So for example, if you have a job and you're working 40, 50 hours a week, make sure you get some time off before that person visits. Next, understand when they aren't available. Okay. This is a big one. Understand when they aren't available. Right on, Matt A. You know about this one. So when they aren't available, are you the type of person to jump to conclusions, or say, or this is a big one, I've had a client like this before. Well, they keep not putting me first. It's like, when someone lives abroad, or when someone lives in another country, they're on different timelines. Literally, they're in a different time zone. So you can take it personal all you want. They might have a job when you're trying to call them. So understand when they aren't available. Sounds very simplistic, but is a big issue, because sometimes you're down in the dumps, you had a bad day, and you're like, I just want to call my girlfriend, even though they're long distance. We can get on a Zoom call, we can talk in person. They're not available, and you start getting triggered. So when they aren't available and you start going, oh, they don't want to talk to me, they don't care about me, they're not into this relationship, they're not putting as much in, it's not going to work. You got to have the mindset, and this is why time zones count on long distance relationships. But if they aren't available, this is where trust comes in. They're telling the truth. Hey, I had a headache. I've had clients before. I don't believe they had a headache. It's like, all right, well, I mean, what would be their gain from doing that? And if you can't trust their saying they have a headache, you don't really have a very good relationship. Got to throw on the AC there. It's a little hot in here. Don't overreact. So this is a big one, because when you're in person in a relationship, you actually can get in arguments and fights and make up in real time, physically, intimately, where when you get to a point where you overreact and you hang up on someone, because this is a big one on long distance relationship, I'm just going to hang up. I'm going to leave them on red. There's more emotion involved in being ignored. There's more emotion involved in not being able to make up the way you would make up in person. So if you're someone that overreacts already in relationships, long distance isn't going to be a good one for you. And then benefit of the doubt. This goes back to trust. They say, look, I got caught in traffic. I know we were supposed to talk. I know on Friday nights, this is when we meet up. I was in traffic. Give them the benefit of the doubt. This is part of being in a long distance relationship. Okay. So those are the main ones. This is the reason I'm going over this. And obviously, if you've been to my channel before, you're like, oh, you've talked about this before. I have. And I keep adding a few extra things to it. Having a boundary around wanting a deadline can reveal differences earlier and save a lot of pain experience talking. Yeah. Having a boundary around wanting a deadline can reveal a difference earlier and save a lot of pain. If someone's kind of, well, I don't know when I'm going to be back. I have this job. I don't know about this. Now, a lot of times you could take that personal. This is what's interesting. It could just be where that person's at as an individual. They're a drifter. They're wishy-washy. They're not really committed to anything right now. They may need therapy for other things in their life that has nothing to do with you. Because if you're going to be in a really good long-distance relationship, you got to your job should be set, because it's going to be rocky. It's not going to be as easy. And some people, just their way their personalities line up, it works for them. But there is an expiration date where people get sick of it if someone doesn't move to the other person's city. Okay. So those are big ones. Now I'm just going to go into what this client had sent me. And usually what he does is he'll send me an email, because we've done coaching before. And he's like, go ahead and share it with the live stream and break it down. So this is what he actually asked. Currently, this is a long distance situation. I do trust her quite a bit and fully believe. So his situation is he just started seeing this woman, we'll call it. I don't like dating, because I think some people think dating as being together, and some people think it's just dating. But he's saying that I do trust her quite a bit, and I fully believe we are both closed off to other options. So the fact that you'd say, I fully believe, it should just be, I know. Okay, so that's kind of one of those things, like, are you both saying like you're together? Or are you saying like, yeah, pretty much? Because that leaves the door open. I will spend nearly 2 months straight in New York, starting in late November. So this isn't a massive obstacle. Okay, so currently he lives in another state. Okay, about, I believe, a 3 or 4 hour plane ride. And he likes where he lives. So what he's going through right now is, I'll be home for 2 months, and his home is New York. All right. Part of me wants to stay present in my current location, but I feel that at 26 years old, if I encounter someone where my filtering shows she is someone that there is a real shot and lasting a good thing, I need to give the maximum effort. So he uses my term filtering. So what he means by that is that filtering for the things he wants, right? Me and him talked about this, because this guy, he's got a lot going for him. He's doing really well. And I said, a lot of times we just end up in relationships that don't work out because we didn't filter very well. What does that mean? It's like you didn't pick up the red flags, right? You didn't notice that, for example, a good example of what I would call filtering. It's like you go out on a couple dates, and the woman keeps complaining about her sister that she lives with, that her sister's a drug addict, that her sister steals her money. Now, you're thinking she's attractive, like the girl you're dating, she's attractive. It's okay. It's not a big deal. The sister sounds like a bad character, but this is not her. But reality is they live together. On the first or second date, she's unpacking this. So this is a big issue for her. Now, if you end up with her long term, that sister is going to become your problem because they live together. Okay. And it's her sister. She's already has it on her mind on the second date. Does that mean that I'm saying, like, don't date that woman? Don't ever talk to her again? No. I'm just saying a year down the road, 2 years down the road, when you're like, damn, that sister's a real issue. It's starting to cause problems in my life. She stole money from me. You're next. So that's proper filtering. If someone keeps complaining about their ex-boyfriend, saying that he never showed her enough love, he was always calling her too much, and she's just complaining, that's filtering. That means that she's a needy individual. She talks behind her boyfriend's back. These are things that later on you're next. Okay. So going back to what he wrote, part of me wants to stay present in my current location, but I feel that because he really likes where he lives, I encounter someone where I'm filtering shows she is someone that there's a real shot at lasting a good thing. I need to give it maximum effort. I agree. So basically what he's saying is this girl that he's been dating, after filtering for what he wants, for what he's looking for, things look pretty good. So I want to go all in. I agree. I already plan to move back to the East Coast after some time in Texas, though I'm enjoying my situation here and I don't want to move back only for her. I want to make sure I still want to move back for the reasons I had otherwise, close to my family, and I want to grow lasting roots in New York. So that's completely fine. Here's the thing: you could move back to Texas probably if you wanted to. This is you're in your mid-20s. If you moved once, you can move again. I've done it. I've moved multiple times in my life. It's not fun sometimes, but it's good for you. So the idea, even if you move back and it didn't work out, it's not the end of the world. I guess what I'm grappling with is long distance courtship worth it? Like I just said earlier in this post, I just went through them. As long as you have finish lines, and you know what? Long distance relationships are a little more difficult, but just any relationship you're in, there's a bit of risk that it's not going to work out. But at least go into a relationship where you're like, I filtered for this one. She's a really good one. So if it doesn't work out, you had good intentions. I don't want to squander something that can be exceptionally great, but the day-to-day is, of course, not ideal. I even told myself I would never go long distance again, but here I am. And we aren't even technically dating or boyfriend-girlfriend label-wise, although the effect we are in is essentially our acting accordingly. Okay, bottom line is things are going well, so don't mess with it, okay? Just get clear that things are progressing. Get clear in your communication. And then, like I said, really what's going to be deciding what happens next is that 2 months you spend in New York where you guys are together regularly. And then that'll be the next plateau of your relationship. So I think that's a really good place to go. And that's okay, right? That's okay. So just look at it like that. Like I tell people a lot of times now, growth is best when it's plateaus. Plateaus are like this. And everyone's looking for this. They go to YouTube, get my ex back. What happened? Just tell me how to get him back. It's like up here, doesn't work that way for most people. Okay. Plateaus are good. Right now, you're on a nice plateau where you're both attracted to each other. You both feel like you're good catches. You have this opportunity where you're going to move back to her city anyways. So this 2 months will be a trial. Just look at it like that. And you'll really know after that 2 months whether you want to stay in New York or whether you want to go back to Texas. And you can rearrange the ship and what direction you want to go in. But those 2 months will be very telling. All right. So there was a second part of this email. Just to get to the bottom of that. Everyone has an opinion on that. So go ahead and throw in. Matt A., I know you were in a long distance relationship for a while, so you have some things to say. Playlist 03, yeah, a little bit earlier. I think I might start trying to get a little bit earlier on this. Brand new Skinner, how you doing, bud? Always a pleasure. So the other part of this is a really interesting one, which is she did sleep with my friend prior to me engaging with her. Okay, so I talk about this really brief on this side. So your friend hooked up with your girlfriend. So let's talk about this specifically as a guy. I've actually went through this before, so it was kind of interesting. And I was in my mid-20s also. So my girlfriend had hooked up with one of my really good friends, one of my best friends. I don't have one best friend, but one of my really good friends. Now, here's the part how I would break this down. Your friend hooked up with your girlfriend. Number one, do you have the details? I'm not asking you to search for the details. I don't want video of the situation or the detail, but like, do you have details or is it just a rumor? So just get clear. Yeah, they hooked up. Yeah, I hooked. Now, if you know the reason why I ask about the detail part is because it was your friend and it was prior to you hooking up. Sometimes some guys like to brag, especially in their 20s, and give dirty details. If that's the case, it doesn't help because your mind is imprinted. For me, I don't want to say the details were so dirty, but the details beforehand were more than I would have liked to known because I wasn't with that girl at the time, and my friend was a bit of a bragger and a ladies' man, right? He's a player. So for him, it was kind of a, ha, ha, ha. Then it ends up being your girlfriend, and it's, another fire hydrant he took a whiz on, right? So do you have the details? If you do, is it too much that your friend, you know what I'm saying? Who's the friend? Now, as guys, we all know that's my boy, that's my buddy, that's my bro, whatever you want to call it. But certain guys, it would be harder to know that they hooked up with your girlfriend, friend or not friend, just because they've hooked up with so many girls before or the way they talk about it. So that would matter. How long ago was it? Was it a month ago? Was it weeks ago? Or was it like 2 years ago? That counts, right? Do they still hang out? Now you might say, oh, well, it's just a group of friends. They all still hang out. That's a problem. Not because she's going to hook up with him again, but you're always going to be thinking about it. And if you know your buddy, you're like, he's done it before. So in the back of his mind, he thinks it's always a possibility, right? So do they still hang out? And you're like, oh, they hang out in groups. Can you handle that? Now, here's the part. Can it be dropped by all parties? Meaning the friend, the girlfriend, can it just not be brought up again? If that's possible, which it is with mature individuals, totally fine. But if your buddy's one of those that's like, you bring your girlfriend to a barbecue and he's joking around with his friends in the back, like, oh, I remember when I used to hook up with her, ha, ha, ha. Right? That's kind of how my friend was. Just because I know his personality doesn't mean he wasn't a good friend, but you know how guys are sometimes. So that's what I mean. Do you have the details? Who's the friend? Because there's some guy friends that could be never bring it up again, never make a big deal out of it, never make you feel embarrassed about it. Now, I will say this. Now that I'm a little bit older, it wouldn't bother me as much. But everyone's different, okay? And it really counts how the friend acts about it. And the reality is, though, if you look at people, if you look at the women you've slept with, or for women, the men you've slept with, you don't really remember all the details anyways. Guys in their 20s like to brag more. Not all, but they're like, if he's that kind of friend, it's kind of one of those things you might lose touch with him for a little bit because it might bother you. Now, the closer and the longer you're together and the longer you're away from that happening, it'll kind of just dissipate, if that makes sense. What's up? No context for cartoons. See you on Wednesday. Right on, man. Yeah, I'm reaching out to some prior clients to catch up before the end of the year. So no context for cartoons. He was actually originally from Puerto Rico, I believe, which is a place I'd like to go to. So just get back to that email really quick. So she did sleep with a friend of mine prior to the engaging with her. It was a feelingless. Both of their exes started dating each other. So it was kind of a spite on their part. He's a good friend of mine, and there's no lingering feelings at all on the other side. It really doesn't bug me a ton, but obviously I'd prefer that it wasn't the case. I have other friends who are in long-term great relationship where this has been the case. I think it's a fairly common scenario. I'd say it's like a 3 out of 10 that bugs me. That's really good that you got a 3 out of 10 on it, because that means it'll probably clear away pretty soon. As long as your friend doesn't bring it up again and they both don't give each other sweet eyes at events, That's why I mean who's the friend? Because there's buddies you have, and someone will be like, well, that's not a true friend. There's buddies you have that you're like, he's always going to be trying to hook up with her now that he's hooked up with her, or he's always going to have a little grin on his face, like, yeah. And there's other buddies that'd be like, never mention it again, no big deal. And that makes it a little bit easier. But it's not a reason not to have a relationship with someone that's a serious possibility, because a lot of times, especially in your 20s, I keep saying this, your growth from 24 to 25 to 26 to 27 is actually extensive usually. So who she was in that moment. And people just don't remember, it's not that special to people when they have a hookup with someone that didn't mean anything. You know what I mean? It's basically like doing some exercise together, right? It's like if you thought the times that you've gone out with friends and went to a ball game, something I always enjoyed. I don't do it anymore living in Thailand, but going to a basketball game or a NFL football game, those are like great events. Those are a lot of fun. I don't sit back and go, remember when we were at that football game? You don't remember a lot of the details. A lot of that is intimacy is the same way. If a guy said he slept with 100 chicks, good luck remembering it. It's like, oh yeah, I hooked up with your girlfriend before. Like, it really counts on the class of the individual. Okay. I've been on the other end of that where I've hooked up with a friend of mine's girlfriend a year, maybe 2 years prior. I'm not sure if he knew or he didn't know because it had nothing to do with him. Never mentioned it, never made it a big deal. We weren't close friends, but I would never mention it or give off that kind of energy like, ha, ha, ha. And the girlfriend was friendly with me. So that's how you treat it, individually based. It's not one of those things you just handle it one way, but if it's a 3 out of 10, you're going to get over it pretty soon. So, all right, folks, this Friday, if anyone's interested, I am going to do this. I'm teaching my first online Zoom course. I'll probably be doing more of these. If anyone's interested, it's going to be a EFT course. So I've given out some emails to some people, and it's kind of funny because you give out emails like this for me personally, it's like my clients, we've talked about personal things. We're pretty close in that sense. So sending them this is my EFT course. It sounds like are you sending out a random, what do they call that? A mass email blast? It's like, no, it's personal. It's for you. But this will be the first one I'm doing. Let me just pull it up really quick, and I'll be showing this on the live stream. If anyone's interested, EFT is a great thing to learn. It really is. It works for all kind of stress, anxiety, and the reason why I'm doing it is because it's worked for me and it's worked for clients. I've had guys crying that are like truck drivers, construction workers during their breakup, and they do the EFT in like 5 minutes. They're like, dude, I feel so much better. Where's this at? Let me pull this up. One moment. I just want to pull up the flyer today. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to be teaching a majority of the course, but Jessica is actually going to do it with me. You were wondering about what, my friend? Yeah. So like I said, I sent out this email, and I don't email blast a lot of my former clients, but I sent this out, and it's got her name on it. But we're doing the course together, and like I said, I'll be teaching majority of it, but it's going to be good. And I wouldn't say it's cheap, but I think it's good value because it's 3 days at 4 hours, $297. It's what I paid for the course when I did it a long time ago. And I'll tell you what, it was highly, highly useful. Let me just pull this up real quick. And let's see here. Wow. What they can do with a graphic designer, huh? So yeah, this is the course. What a picture, right? So you tap the meridian points. And like I said, it's going to be 12 hours, EFT, the history, breakdown, strategies, techniques, hands-on practice. And I'll do a guided meditation at the end. This is going to be a really good course, man. Really good course. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. I know that it's one of those things that anytime you're going through something to pull out the tapping method and learning it at a deeper level helps a lot. And a big part of this course is going to be actually going in breakout rooms and practicing with someone else in the class. It's really cool because I've done this Zoom courses before where I've been the student, and when they put you in another room with someone that's like practicing the same thing, this is how you actually learn a craft or something new. So EFT is also known as tapping, is a powerful method used to help clear limited beliefs, release stagnant emotions, and help the nervous system regulate. By tapping on different meridian points and fully feeling into an emotion, it helps individuals lessen their distress to a troubling thought or feeling. It's exactly what it does. So if you're really angry at work, or you're in traffic, or you got a headache, it works great for this kind of stuff. And what you're doing with it is it's accepting the emotion and then evening it out. And Jessica actually does HD design, which is a totally different thing. But maybe she'll mention more about that later. But yeah, it's going to be for people that don't have Friday nights, 5 to 9 Pacific time. All right, folks, I do have a call today. I just wanted to come on really quick and talk about that. I might be on later on today, but otherwise, if you have a question or you have a letter you want to send in your story, send it into writemac.com. Otherwise, take care.